This is Will Powers Inverse News, nostalgia for the present. And it is May 16th, 2020 at 9:55 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. In his weekly update on Friday, May 8, 2020, Judicial Watch President Tom Fitton talked about his organization's Covid-19 lawsuits filed on California. When you have a state without an effective political opposition, and California is a one-party state, you have corruption and challenges to the rule of law, Fitton said. Germany. The progressive policies on the left in California, such as sanctuary state status, signed into law by former Governor Jerry Brown and fully endorsed by Governor Gavin Newsom. According to Fitton, Newsom recently tried to spend $75 million in cash payments to illegal aliens at a time when he managed to turn state surplus into a deficit over the coronavirus. Newsom wants to give each illegal alien $500, which would seem to indicate he and the government of California have some idea how many illegals they have lurking around here in California, depleting our state's precious resources, straining both the welfare system and medical resources. That is not to say illegal immigrants don't make a contribution to the workforce, but that contribution results in lower wages for other employees, as immigrants and illegals tend to work for less. It is also true that illegal immigrants contribute to the tax base, but only minimally, mostly by sales tax, for generally speaking, most illegals get paid under the table. Fitton doubts federal law will allow granting illegal aliens taxpayer money, and even if it is, he said such a law would have to be passed by California legislators. Here's what Fitton had to say about this case.
And in California, taxpayers have the right to challenge illegal expenditures of funds. So we represented taxpayers in our lawsuit challenging Gavin Newsom's expenditure. And we escalated the situation by seeking a temporary restraining order against Gavin Newsom's plan to spend this money on illegal cash for illegal aliens. And we didn't get justice. The judge outrageously said that Judicial Watch, our clients, we would succeed on the merits. I'm going to sneeze again. I guess not. But we were likely to succeed on the merits, but it was more important for the public interest that these illegal aliens get the cash anyway. I mean...
Yes, unbelievable, simply unbelievable. Openly flouting the law, biased left-wing judges doing the bidding of the Democratic National Committee. You look at what is happening in the General Flynn case, they are bringing in a retired judge to assist in obtaining a guilty verdict for contempt of court because Flynn pled guilty to something he wasn't guilty of, after the prosecution brought charges against him with no basis in the law. That's why the prosecution dropped all charges, because Flynn wasn't guilty of anything. Now the presiding judge in the Flynn case, Judge Emmett Sullivan, has brought in retired New York federal judge John Gleeson, a Clinton appointee, to help railroad an innocent man into jail. And here we have a California Supreme Court judge ignoring the law and deciding a case based not on the merits, but because she feels like it's a good thing to do. Tom Fitton was outraged, justifiably, and questioned the audacity of the court to side with Gavin Newsom over the rights of California citizens. Newsom's disastrous administration has caused more problems in this state than you can believe. You take the homeless problem alone, exasperated by the state's sanctuaries policies. The massive amount of homeless people living on the streets of California is the worst in the nation, illustrating how bad far-left policies are. Newsom administration has been one failure after another, starting with the left's climate change baby for mass transit, the ghost train to nowhere, because Newsom shelved the project and then had the audacity to expect federal funds to come his way for the disbanded project anyway. And if you don't believe me, just do a search for ghost train to nowhere. Newsom's leadership could send this state over the financial cliff into the abyss of bankruptcy. Without a bailout from the federal government, given everyone is out of work, reducing the tax base while skyrocketing unemployment claims are going way up, Newsom already has his hands out to the feds. Given Trump wants to restart the economy and doesn't need a huge recession in an election year, his hands may be tied on this one. But there is no way he is going to sign that $3 trillion monstrosity Nancy Pelosi and the House leadership is pushing in their next stimulus bill, which includes a nice check for every illegal immigrant in the U.S. I haven't even received my check. And I'm a citizen who earns way under $70,000 a year, the maximum you can earn and still receive a full check from the government. Have you received your check? It's irritating, and people need their money, not tomorrow, but today, now. And if you're a citizen with an ounce of self-respect, you don't want someone who has no right to be here to get you your hard-earned tax dollars instead of you. It is so unreasonable, is it? I ask you. Is it so unreasonable to expect our government to represent the actual constituency who lives here? The problem is with the huge corporations, and this is what the coronavirus has done. I'm sure this is part of the plan. The politicians and the corporate masters, who are the biggest campaign donors, get to operate during the pandemic, while the little mom and pop shops and small businesses are being put out of business. Oh, on that cheery note, I will wrap up. Remember, if you are listening to this podcast, it means you can see through the bullshit. And that is a grade above the ignorant masses with the blinders on, who only know one thing: obey, obey, or die. They are scared little sheep who need to be humored because they choose to live with the blinders on, and they like it that way. That's right, they like it that way. So leave them alone and humor them. And that's the way I see it. This is Will Powers, Inverse News. Thanks for listening. And if you want to contact me, my email address is mountaincharlie@sbcglobal.net. And my website is mojomorning.blogspot.com. This is Will Powers, Inverse News.